I had been looking for this girl all day. She was like hunting for fucking gold. I thought I had found her when I got told by the doctors she had arrived at the hospital. But by the time I had got away from Miles and reached the hospital, Harley's parents told me she had left, telling them she needed some time because she was struggling. Struggling with what exactly, I am not sure. I am sure as hell that his parents were struggling a whole lot more. Their son mauled by my older brother to within an inch of his life. Not that they knew that part of the story. Oh no. I was under strict orders to depict a tale of a rogue attack. Us having been on a run together and finding him. In truth, Miles would not tell me what he was doing there. Likely running off his temper like he so often did. His temper was beyond control at the best of times. But I had been out for my usual training run and had caught the scent of blood. It wasn't a small amount either, making me concerned, because neither me nor my wolf could dismiss that as injured prey and continue on with our run like we truly wanted to. Integrity won over and made us go and investigate to find my brother's wolf, Jet, ripping into the warrior guy. A guy I now know is called Harley. The moment I yelled his name, he oddly retreated like he didn't expect to be caught in what he was doing, and he ran off for the trees. The blood was everywhere. His injuries were horrendous, worse than I have ever seen before. Though I have never been in war myself, his clothes were torn. Deep wounds littered his body, bites across his body. I was terrified Miles had already killed him, but I had to help. So, I scooped him up in my arms, my wolf pushing forward to lend me his strength, and we ran toward the hospital, linking forward to allow them to prepare for his arrival. I could see smaller wounds were closing, but the larger ones I think were simply too much for his wolf to heal with the amount of blood he was losing. This guy was close to death. Of that, there was no doubt. But what I didn't understand was why my brother would attack one of our own pack. He was meant to rein that temper in. Our dad had told him he could attack rogues if he felt the need to take his temper out on anything larger than small prey had he mistaken him for a rogue. Yet he had so clearly been in human form, attacked unawares before he had a chance to shift and defend himself. This all looked intentional to me. That is what worried me. Leave him to die. Miles's voice had suddenly come through the mind link. He did not sound in the slightest bit shaken by what had just happened. In fact, he sounded calm, collected, cold. Miles. No. He needs help. His wolf is not healing him. You have injured him badly. Why? I asked as I continued the dash toward the hospital, glad of the additional support of my wolf. Why? Miles roared through the link. He deserved to die. You had no right in interfering. Interfering? How was I interfering? Was I not doing the decent thing and saving the warrior's life? No man deserved to die at the hands of their alpha for no reason. And if I discover there was a logical reason for him to be punished, then he can be punished in an appropriate way when he is healed. If he can be healed, of course. Because the amount of blood that seemed to be leaking over me was worryingly large. He needed help. He is dying. I am taking him to the hospital, I told him bluntly. Well, you tell them it was a rogue attack. Do you hear me? He ordered, and even though my brother was not with me, the attempt at an alpha order rippled over me. I may be of alpha blood, but he has power over me, being the next in line. He was trying to make me do what he wanted, trying to make me lie on his behalf. He knew he had done wrong. You want me to lie? I asked as I got closer to the hospital. He deserved it. That is what I will say. I will explain when you hand him over. So, stupidly, I had done as he asked. I handed him over and the doctors did what they could. He was in a bad way, and when I returned later to the hospital to look for Bailey, Harley's parents were both so grateful to me for saving his life. Yet, in truth, I could not feel like a hero. Not when I knew the truth. Not when I knew my brother was to blame. Miles had been waiting for me outside the hospital after I had dropped Harley off, anger written on his face. He looked like he wanted to tear me limb from limb. "Why?" he snapped, the moment I came close, and I simply shook my head. "There is a guy in there literally knocking on death's door because of you. And you say he deserved it. I want to know why. Because he had to have done something serious to deserve that." I mind-linked him, not wanting to risk any of the pack members wandering by overhearing our conversation. Miles gave me a dirty look. He questioned me. I felt like my heart skipped a beat. He had to be joking, right? He questioned him? And that is what he did to him? How is he ever going to rule as alpha if this is how he reacts to things? He questioned you? And that was all? I linked in disbelief. He has been with Bailey. And he implied I was lying about there being no mate bond. He knew of our mate bond. Knew I rejected her. He needed to go. His eyes look like pits of fire right now as he stares at me. He seemed to think everything he did was more than reasonable. But his words sunk in. He said he rejected her. That was different to what he had originally told me. He said she had rejected him. He had lied? My mind whirled with possibilities. He wasn't focused on his words here, so chances are he was saying the things that first came to mind, making them more likely to be the truth. He had blamed Bailey back then to take the heat off him. "You almost killed him because of Bailey?" I asked. I was surprised when I learned she had been his fated mate. I was shocked then that she had rejected him, but I am even more shocked now that Miles had rejected his own fated mate. Having met my fated mate, Hazel, I know the draw to them is something so strong once your wolf is there that it would be difficult to fight. How he had been able to torture her the way he had, keeping her hanging on for a year and seeing her around pack and not wanting her desperately made no sense to me. He had laughed with me so many times, telling me tales of the things he had done to get to her, like he gained some sort of sick pleasure from hurting her through the mate bond. Now, when I think back to the tales he told, there were so many signs that it was him that had done the rejection. But a small part of me wondered if he did like the connection they shared, and that was why he kept her around. He could not fight the decision my dad had made to allow her to go to university. And I am glad for her, because I had heard how hard she had worked to gain that place. But Miles had pushed for her to come back to our pack, despite Bailey begging to be given permission to work away from the pack. Dad was going to allow it, but Miles intervened saying he would be taking over soon, so he should be making that choice, and he thought she would be of benefit to the pack, so no permission was given. Now, I wonder if that was so she was close to him. Had he hurt the warrior because he was close to Bailey? Or simply because he had somehow discovered their mate bond, and he feared that it could get out? Either way, neither one was a reasonable motive for hurting someone, let alone putting them on the edge of death. He argued back with me. I did not want him being a risk. I did not like how he was. Miles snarled, his head turning to look at me. "Did you tell them it was a rogue attack?" he asked, and I began to regret my decision to do as he asked. But I nodded. I told them we were out for a run, and we found him. Said you had gone to check the woods, see if you could see anything. Make it seem more believable, I explained, hating myself even more for the lies I had helped my brother create. I did not like the man he was becoming. And in truth, I think I feared for the pack under his control. It was at that point I realized I needed to go and speak to Bailey, which was where my hunt for her had come in. I had misjudged her because of the things Miles had said. And I owe her an apology. But not only that, I needed to talk about this with her. I needed her opinion on it. I cannot hide this from my brother, even if it means putting my own life at risk. Our pack deserves better than this. He is a danger to himself and to the others around us. But I know I cannot do this alone. Miles harassed me non-stop about keeping my mouth shut, threatening me with so many things, including ejecting me from the pack the moment he became alpha, so I was made a rogue if I so much as breathed a word of this. Though he also tried to use the fact I had lied about Harley's injuries at the hospital as it already implicated me, so I would be seen as part of the problem, not the solution. I felt a little trapped, but I knew I had to do something. But I knew I would have to watch my back, because I did not think my brother would think twice about harming me. The moment he had left me, I was on to my hunt for Bailey, her mind link blocked. Though if my brother was giving her shit, I could not blame her. And she was likely in pieces, having been told her boyfriend was severely wounded. Which was why I had decided upon trying the hospital first, thinking she would be by his side. After dashing from the hospital once I realized she wasn't there, and after spending a little time with Harley's parents, I decided to make my way to the pack house in the hope of seeing her dad, our pack beta. He may be of some help. I had tried his mind link, but it was blocked for some bizarre reason, so I could only try his office. And it was only as I reached the corridor and I saw Bailey being led into his office that I knew I had struck gold. I eyed Ellis suspiciously. Why was he here, turning up unannounced, and just walking in the way he had irritated me? Yet, his appearance made no sense. Why would he need to talk? He had evidently been involved somehow with how Harley had ended up in the hospital. From the things I heard while sitting with his parents, it had been Ellis telling the doctors of the rogue attack. But, at the same time, had it not been for Ellis, Harley would not have got to the hospital, and he would have bled out in the forest somewhere. That is the part that confuses me. Sit down then, son, my dad says, acting perfectly normally with Ellis, a boy he considers his nephew, his best friend's son, a boy he has seen grow up from the day he was born. The same as Miles. The benefit of being best friends with the alpha, I suppose. Thanks, Uncle Donovan. Ellis drops himself onto one of the chairs. I am guessing I have disturbed you? He looks between the two of us, a little uncomfortably, clearly aware of the fact he had caught us in the middle of a private conversation. Well, we were talking, yeah, my dad says with a smile. I have a feeling I may know what about, Ellis says, which is why I am here. Well, I was here to talk with Bailey, really. But I think talking to you both may help. I looked at him confused. He had been looking for me, and he wanted us to help? What do you want? I snapped, unable to forgive him for the way he had been with me since the day in the garden. Bailey, give the boy a break, my dad says with a small chuckle. Let him at least try and talk before you jump down his throat. It is fine, Uncle. I likely deserve it. I owe you an apology, I think, Bailey. I learned a few things today, Ellis says, looking at me, and he looks decidedly green around the gills, making me wonder what he is talking about. You owe me an apology? I chuckled. That was not what I was expecting from him. Our alpha sons were not accustomed to admitting they were wrong, nor to apologizing. You didn't reject my brother, did you? He says, and I simply shake my head. How had he learned that? Perhaps if he had used the few brain cells in that pretty little head of his when he disturbed me and his brother in the garden, he may have been able to work out that his brother was lying when he said it was me that had rejected him. I should have known, really, with the things he was saying and doing. But I am sorry. The way I spoke to you was wrong. You deserved better. And after what I have witnessed today, I have seen what my brother is capable of. So I can only imagine the things he has been putting you through. Ellis speaks with a tone of unease. Okay. Maybe I have been a little harsh on Ellis, as he seems to be being genuine right now. And he seems to be worried about how he had treated me. But right now, that was the least of my concerns. Something else he had said caught my attention a little more. It wasn't a rogue attack, was it? I demanded, knowing I was right. My gut had told me all along the moment I had heard Harley was hurt that it had been Miles. Ellis looks to me and slowly shakes his head. I hate that I lied to cover for him. I was out for my run and found him attacking Harley. I shouted at him, and he stopped before running off. The injuries to the warriors were so bad, I knew I had to help him, so I took him to the hospital. Miles told me to leave him to die, but I could not do that. So he ordered me to tell them it was a rogue attack, saying the guy deserved what he got. And he would explain why once I had left him at the hospital. I elaborated on the rogue lie. Only when I learned why he had done it was I shocked. Disgusted, my brother would sink that low. I could see my dad's face taut with concern, while Ellis's hands were trembling. I messed up, he whispered. No, son, you didn't. My dad tells him. You saved that boy's life. You stood up and did the right thing. You didn't know what the reason was when Miles asked you to lie, so you took the word of your brother and the upcoming alpha. So many others would do the same. And when you discovered the truth, you have chosen to speak out. That boy should be okay. I spoke to the hospital. He is in and out of consciousness now. That is because of you. But we need to speak to your dad, Ellis. I chew at my lips anxiously. This was such a mess. All because of the mate bond between me and Miles, though. I think even without that, Miles was dangerous. Should I get him? Ellis asked. No, my dad urged, taking us both by surprise. We will wait it out. Are you up for that? Ellis looks at my dad, confused. Though I think I was equally confused. You want to let Miles think he has got away with it? Dad nods. We need to get the warrior away from the pack to his mother's former pack for treatment and recovery. Somewhere he will be safe. Speaking out now will bring awareness to the fact we know of his involvement, and likely bring attention to what we are doing. Ellis nods as if in agreement. That makes sense. I sat in an awkward silence, before Ellis looked to me. Bailey, I know you won't consider it genuine, but I am sorry. I know better than anyone how shitty it can be being the sibling that gets overlooked because you were born second. I know as kids we were bastards to you for being a bit different. You didn't deserve that. Nobody does. I think some of it was frustration that you didn't have to try to do well in school when all of us struggled. But you didn't deserve that. I got to say, I respect what you have done though. Ignoring all the crap people gave you, and pushing harder and getting your degree. Miles was more than likely the fool for rejecting you. My dad sat nodding his head, while I simply shrugged. Well, it doesn't matter now, does it? He called the school I had an interview at and told them I was declining their offer of a job. I told Ellis. His eyes widened in shock. Seriously? I nodded, not wanting him to know of my plan to leave. I was terrified somehow that he knew that it would be leaked to Miles and everything would go wrong. I assumed that was why my dad hadn't mentioned that part of our plan, too. I still wanted my chance to escape. So you have your degree, but he will not permit you to work? He questions, and I nod. I think he still considers you as his. It doesn't matter, Ellis. What matters is that he is dealt with now for what he did to Harley. What reasons did he give? What scares me is that he could hurt others, I told him, and I saw Ellis look down at his hands anxiously. Just said he had questioned him, so perhaps he felt his rank was being doubted. Plus, he mentioned him being with you, so maybe jealousy. And, of course, the fact he knew about your mate bond, and that he didn't believe him when he said there was no mate bond. It sounded to me like Harley had stood up to Miles for me, and in doing so had found himself the victim of an attack. Miles had gone from a slight threat to a serious danger now. Hopefully, with the help of Ellis, we could do something to change that. My dad decided to walk back to the house with me, terrified for my safety after what had happened to Harley earlier. But I had yet to visit Harley at the hospital, so I had to inform my dad the moment I was done visiting him. So, I walked through the doors of the ICU department to be greeted by Harley's parents, embraced in one another's arms outside the room where I was sure I had left them earlier with Harley. Why were they outside his room? Why were they not in there with their son? My head began to pound, as did my heart. My mind spun with the many possibilities. My dad said he had spoken to the hospital that everything was okay, even that Harley was in and out of consciousness. So why did this look like something had gone wrong? My heart clenched at the thought of losing Harley. I didn't know if I should leave them in private. Maybe I should not be here right now, but as I was about to turn and walk away, Harley's dad looked up and caught sight of me. "Ah, Bailey, you came back." I said I would. I told him with a sad smile. "Is everything okay?" My heart felt like it was racing out of my chest right now as I waited for his answer, but thankfully he nodded. "The doctor is just checking him over. You know, Harley has been asking for you." I could not help but smile at his words. "Has he?" "The moment we said you had been here, he was asking when you would be back," his mom said with a chuckle. "I am sorry. My dad needed to see me." I felt I had to explain. Yes, he did mind link us, and we feel the things he is suggesting may be for the best." "Harley, too. He said you and he had spoken of going there anyway." "We did not realize you, and he were so serious," his dad said with raised brows, making me blush. I stuttered a little. I would not go with him. Not now. Harley needs to do what is better for him to keep him safe. I assume my dad explained everything? Harley's dad nodded. "We know not to say a word. We will be headed there with him. Steffi has spoken to her former pack. They are arranging things, so we will be going as soon as get the green light. But when Harley told us you, and he had planned to go there before this, I had assumed you might come too." I slowly shook my head, truly shocked at the speed this plan was now taking shape, though my dad had said it needed to happen quickly. And I have to say, I agree. The sooner things happen, the safer everyone will be. I'm going to speak to Harley. He means so much to me, and has been the sweetest guy to me lately. But he has a fated mate out there, and he deserves to find her. He needs to put his safety first too, and that is not being with me, even if that means hurting myself. "Oh, sweet girl." His dad shook his head. "You seem to have been dealt a crappy hand." "That is one way to look at it," I said to him. "Can always ask for a re-deal, right, Bailey?" Harley's mom, who I now assume is called Steffi, says with a smile, "You are a smart girl. You seem to know what you want from life. So, you go out and get it." I nodded. Maybe she is right. I do not need to accept the hand I was dealt. Me moving is the right thing. While we wait for the doctor to finish doing their checks on Harley, I take my phone from my pocket and message Luna Aiden. "Hi, this is Bailey. I am sorry to have messed you around going back and forth like a yo-yo. I appreciated everything we spoke about on the phone, and I can't begin to tell you how things are for me right now. But I have had a chance to consider all that you said, and I don't think I can turn down the opportunity to come and work for you. So please, would you consider me for the role of teacher that you offered me, and allow me a place within your pack whilst working there due to the distance from my own pack, as we had previously discussed. Thank you." Bailey. The corridor of the hospital was quiet, with the unnatural light that made it so uncomfortable to sit and wait. But soon enough, the doctor came out and smiled towards Harley's mom and dad. All done. His parents wasted no time in rushing back into the room, and I reluctantly followed behind, nervous about facing him considering the state he was in when I'd seen him earlier, and now knowing the things he had gone through due to Ellis explaining what he had seen. Knowing that everything he had suffered was because of his connection to me, because of the doomed mate bond between Miles and me. I heard Steffi chuckle as I walked through the door. Could you make it more obvious you were not bothered about us being here, Harley? Literally straining to look around us to see Bailey, she says, and I feel myself blushing. It seems he had been more open with his parents about me than I had with mine about him. I had barely spoken about him with anyone. I didn't want to embarrass him if anyone knew he was linked to me. I was far from the most popular person in the pack, and I didn't know if it would be a source of humiliation for him to be seen with me, evidently. I could not have been further from the truth. Bailey. Harley's voice was hoarse, like he was struggling to speak. Understandably so. I wouldn't wonder, as his eyes settled on me the moment I went into the room. I smiled at him. Hey, you. Maybe we should give these two some privacy, Harley's dad said, taking the hand of his mate and leading her from the room, making Harley blush a little this time, while I perched myself on the seat next to his bed. I am so sorry for all of this, Harley, I told him, reaching for his hand. I hate that this is because of me. He frowns. I can see instantly that some of the wounds are a little less severe than they were when I was here earlier, telling me his wolf was trying hard to help him. Though the motion of frowning causes him to wince, as it must disturb the wounds upon his face. Bye, this is not you. This is him. All him. But it is because you are with me well, connected to me, I told him, and again he shook his head. You know I am headed to my mum's pack? He questions, and I nodded. My dad suggested it as a way of keeping you safe, I told him, and I think he is likely right. I don't know what he might do next, Harley. I likely made it worse, disagreeing with him. But you spoke with your dad? He asked, sounding shocked. That has to be good, right? Dad, Jordan, Ellis. He nods. I think Ellis helped me. I smile. Yeah, he did. He saved your life, found Miles attacking you, stopped it, and carried you to the hospital. Though he did say it was a rogue attack, because that was what Miles told him to say. He then discovered the truth about it all and came to me and my dad, I explained, and Harley shook his head. I am done here, bye. I won't be coming back. I can't serve under him, he tells me, and I don't think I can blame him. He will be a dangerous and ruthless alpha. It scares me. I just hope that Luna Aiden will be willing to give me the opportunity to get away too. If not, I will be moving to the human world to apply for work. One way or another, I will not be staying here while he is here, and most definitely not while he is in charge. That was why my dad said about your mom's pack. Keep you safe there, especially while you heal, I told him, feeling relieved that he agreed to go and do just that. Glad that he had seen it the exact same way I had. So, why not go together? Live that dream we had together? It can be possible. Make those plans a reality. I can see the excitement in his eyes, and I feel my heart aching at what I am about to do. Harley, I don't think we should. You are safer on your own. Being with me is what got you into this mess. I tightened my grip upon his hand, and I saw him bite his lip, as if in deep thought. This is it? You have done with me now? His voice falters. I think the world of you, Harley. But you are better without me. You have a fated mate out there, so it was always going to be complicated taking me as a chosen mate, right? I tried. A chosen mate bond is stronger, because it is one your heart and soul decides upon, Bailey. But if that wasn't enough for you, then I don't know what it is I can offer. He slides his hand out of mine, and I felt tears stinging in my eyes as they began to drip. No, Harley, don't do that. I am trying to do the right thing for you here, trying to keep you safe. I wanted everything you offered me. I truly did. But you know deep down in your heart that being with me is putting you at risk. At least, right now it is. So we can't do that. You wanted all that? He stutters. Of course I did, But right now, that can't happen. I softly put my hand to the side of his face, trying carefully not to catch his wounds, which the nurses now appeared to have dressed. Keeping you safe is my priority, Harley, so please do this for me. We will stay in touch and see one another too when we can. But right now, it can't happen. I am sorry. I feel a tear drip down my cheek, which Harley reaches up to wipe away, but he slowly nods. Harley released a long breath. I guess so. But if it is a case of keeping safe, then you need to get out of here too. Sweet cheeks. You know that, right? And I find myself smiling. That is the plan. After giving Harley a hug and fighting tears, I walked from the hospital to find my dad waiting for me, just as he had promised. Leaning against the walls of the PAC hospital, taking the moment to enjoy a chance to relax, basking in the late afternoon sunshine. He must have heard me approaching as his head turned to look at me the moment I moved down the steps, and I watched as his eyes darted across mine, taking in my tear-filled eyes, and his face filled with concern. Is he okay? I assume he had jumped to the conclusion he had passed away, or something along those lines with me battling tears. I simply nodded, not feeling up to elaborating on everything I had just discussed with Harley. It had been difficult enough the first time. I did not need to go over it again with my dad because he would want to analyze it too, and I most definitely did not have the energy for that. We going home? I asked. Well, I am walking my little girl home, yes, but I do have to head back to the office. I have a few things I need to see to before I'm done for the day, he says with a smile. I find myself smiling back at him. I am glad he wants to walk me home and appreciate him looking out for me. I do not, however, appreciate him referring to me as a little girl. Little girl? A little less of that, Dad. I am an adult now. Do you not think I have grown past being called your little girl? I asked him, and he chuckled to himself like he found himself so amusing. Though my dad had always had a habit of laughing at his own jokes. Always my little girl. It doesn't matter how old you are, Bailey. Something Ellis said bothered me though. Does being the second sibling really cause you to feel like you weren't important? His face had gone from smiling to looking downhearted now, which tells me he never thought of it that way. Obviously, in my mind, he hadn't been a bad parent, and neither had my mum. They had ensured we all had everything we needed. But their priority did tend to fall to Jordan, with him being the beta heir, and, of course, with Morgan, with her being their youngest. Not to mention she had a habit of being quite demanding. So, I think it was sort of a natural thing that I sort of got lost somewhere in the middle. I didn't mind. I was always quite happy to sit and keep myself occupied with my books. I think it is quite common, Dad. Honestly, you don't need to worry. You made sure I had what I needed. You made sure we all did, I said, not liking seeing my own dad battling with his guilt here. I had enough to deal with right now. It was easier like this. It wasn't like they had neglected me. No, Bailey, don't lie to me. Is it true you were bullied? He questions, and I suddenly feel unable to meet his gaze. He wants answers, and a part of me wonders if this is before I leave, so he can deal with it all in his mind and process it all before addressing everything. The same as Jordan, I guess. But the bullying was never my parents' fault. Yes, they would lightly tease me for forever having my head in a book. And I guess my brother and sister picked up on that and copied. But the serious bullying was in school. Around PAC. As we walked along the paths of the PAC, the roads and paths were both quiet. So the two of us just enjoyed one another's company. I slowly nodded, not sure how best to approach the subject. It was since school, Dad. Just because I studied more, did well in school, you know what kids can be like. You know that Mum was forever telling me I made it worse for myself. Your mum knew? He asks, sounding more than a little surprised, making me wonder if he lived in his own little world sometimes. So busy with his own commitments to his work? Or did he just block out his own failings? I was sure I had gone to both my parents over the years about the struggles I had faced. Yes, more so my mum, because she was the one at home more frequently. But that was purely because my dad had a lot of responsibilities in his role as beta, and was in the office a lot. It was no fault of his own. It was a part of his job, and we had accepted that. So much of the parental responsibilities fell to Mum. But could he really have been so naive about all of this? Yeah, but she told me I had to try harder to fit in, Dad. Why do you think I avoided the events so much? It was what made Miles not want me as his mate, I think. The fact I was not the stereotypical alpha mate. I would have been an embarrassment, I told him, and my dad growled, telling me his wolf was lingering and getting angry at what I was telling him. Werewolves were protective of their family. Notoriously so, especially fathers with their daughters. Though, I can't lie, I had wondered at times if my dad had been bothered about me. But it seems his wolf did not like hearing all of this. Well, he was a fool then. If he couldn't see what he had, then it was his loss. Thanks, Dad. But it is irrelevant now. And the one guy I thought I could have something with, I have had to let go to make sure he is safe. I whispered. I understand the tears now. You told him it couldn't work? He wrapped his arm around my shoulder, pulling me close to him, softly kissing me upon my head. A father trying to comfort his daughter. Something I needed all those years ago at that birthday party. When Miles told me to keep everything secret, when all this mess had begun. Time is a healer, sweetheart. He has a mate out there, and if he found her, that would have torn him in two. He will always crave his fated, despite choosing you. Some say a chosen mate bond is stronger because your heart chooses it. But a fated mate bond is so difficult to fight. You crave it with every inch of your being. No matter what he may say. It is our instinct, Bailey. He would struggle. I don't doubt that boy thinks the world of you. But when it comes to meeting his fated mate, he would not know what to do. My dad gently stroked my hair back from my face as he spoke. Something he hadn't done since I was a little girl, when he used to read me bedtime stories. I used to love it as I found it so reassuring, so soothing. I nodded, knowing he was right. That was the thing I had failed to see when Harley had offered me the chance to be his chosen mate. Neither one of us had thought of his fated mate out there. She was waiting for him somewhere. And they both deserved the happiness that being with a fated mate should bring. We neared our house, and my dad still had his arm around me. I don't know if it was for his own comfort or for me. Maybe a little of both. But he seemed reluctant to let go. Yet, as we wandered up the path to our home, the door of the house next door opened, and the one person neither of us wanted to see stepped out. Miles, and his eyes settled instantly on me, a dark, evil stare building. I felt my dad's hand settle in the center of my back, as if to guide me to the house, though I can now also feel the presence of his wolf suddenly. Not to mention his anger rising at the abrupt arrival of Miles. He did not want to be seeing him right now, not after everything he had just learned. This was not going to be pleasant. "Hi, Uncle." Miles greeted my dad with such a fakeness, and my dad raised his brows at me before looking across toward Miles, who seemed to believe everything was normal between them, though his fakeness truly got under my skin. Especially after everything today. He was acting like he had done nothing wrong. "Good afternoon, Miles. You look awfully run down. Have you had a busy day or something?" he asked, and I could sense the sarcasm in his tone, but I didn't know if Miles had. "You should start taking better care of that wolf of yours, so he can take better care of you. It is all a little give and take, you know? I am sure your dad has taught you this. But truly, you look shocking." I bit my lip to hold back the smile that was threatening. My dad had a way with words, But Miles seemed to not have noticed the little digs my dad was having at him. And he simply smiled at my dad, like it was normal day-to-day conversation with his uncle. "Oh, just the usual things. You know what it is like, Dad, keeping me busy, training to be alpha and all," Miles said cheerfully, and my dad chuckled, though to me, it sounded forced. I am sure. But our pack only deserves the best as their alpha, so you need to understand why your dad does what he does. Training to the best of your ability is vital, Miles, and then pushing yourself that little bit further to refine your skills. Being the best of the best. That is what our pack needs as their alpha. Don't you think? My dad said, the meaning hidden within his words, which Miles would likely be completely oblivious to. But I knew what he was trying to imply. He didn't believe Miles was suitable to be our alpha. He didn't believe he deserved his title. "Should you not be in the office at this time of day, Uncle Donovan?" Miles asked, glancing at me with that same dark stare as the moment he had noticed me. Before then, looking at my dad with the same darkness. The darkness that seemed to reside within him now. He was not the same happy and cheerful boy he had grown up as. He was nasty, ruthless, vile, not a man most people would want to be around. My dad raised his gaze to look toward Miles. "Oh, excuse me being dictated to by a child. You aren't the alpha yet, Miles, so you don't have the right to be questioning me where I should and shouldn't be. And for that matter, your dad doesn't even get away with that. I do my job. Thank you very much." I saw my daughter while she was in the pack house, so I said I would walk back to the house with her, as it is not often we spend time together. I wasn't aware there was a crime in that. My dad did not like to be spoken down to, nor did he appreciate being insulted, and would always come back with an argument. Miles, however, clearly did not expect the comeback, which I have to say, was somewhat amusing. Miles scowled deeply at my dad standing up to him, while I was struggling to hold back the smirk that was teasing at my lips. "I am not a child, and I'm sure there is still work to be done," Miles told him. "Well, as I said, my work is always completed by the end of the day, and as you are not alpha yet, that is not even any of your concern. So, little boy, wind your neck in." My dad snapped angrily this time, telling me he was becoming impatient with what was becoming close to a reprimanding from Miles. Miles stormed off, giving us both a dirty look as he walked away, causing my dad to laugh loudly as he did. And when I say loudly, I mean without a doubt loud enough for Miles to hear while he threw his tantrum and walked away. Though I had a feeling that was exactly what my dad intended to happen. He wanted Miles to know he was laughing at his petulance. He wasn't happy with the fact Miles had spoken down to him. "That is it, little one. Run away, like the little boy you are," Dad muttered as he unlocked the front door for me. I shook my head at my dad. "Anyone would think you enjoyed that," I said, and he simply grinned. Considering the things I have heard today, my view on that scum has changed considerably. He has treated my family badly, and I shall make sure now that he pays. One way or another. And I believe your brother is equally determined. Dad tells me, "Dad, Jordan has his beta role to protect. He can't risk that. First we deal with the things that boy has done. He seems to think that, because he has been spoiled all of his life, he is above punishment. Always thought your aunt babied him too much. Your uncle let him get away with too much, and neither one of them would hear a bad thing said about him. Believing that as upcoming alpha, he did nothing wrong and should not suffer any punishment. Well, that lack of punishment is becoming more than evident now, because he acts like the world owes him a living. He walks around here like he owns it already. Well, not if I have anything to do with it," my dad says, and the determination within his voice takes me by surprise. "You are a beta dad. You don't have the power to stop him becoming alpha," I whispered. No, I may not, Bailey, but with his brother's assistance, once you are gone, we will go to his father. If he does not listen, I go to the Werewolf Council. They have to listen. That boy broke rules, and many of them. He is a danger to himself and others. He is not fit to rule. I will not allow him to take over this pack. Even if I kill myself in the process, I will make sure he does not become the alpha of our pack. My dad says, his voice calm and collected, like there is no doubt within his mind about his plan. And the thing is, I think he may be right. He would have a fight upon his hands, but he had every right to fight. I just had to hope it would not cost me my father's life. My dad had left me in my room, with strict orders to begin to pack my things, and also to chase up my position within the Autumn Valley pack, which had reminded me I had yet to check if Luna Eden had responded to my earlier message. I had been so distracted with everything else that had been going on, that the message had completely slipped my mind. I dropped to my bed as I pulled my phone from my pocket, only to find a short message from Luna Eden, a simple message of 2 words, "Call me." I could not help but chuckle at her message, but I laid back onto my bed and did exactly as she had asked, because, as my dad had pointed out, my position within their pack was not yet secured, and I needed somewhere to go to get away from Miles and the mess he seemed to be creating around me, because of the fucked up mate bond we had been given between us. "Hello, you. I wondered when you would call." Luna Eden greeted me like a long-lost friend. "Nothing like keeping a girl on edge, is there? I am so sorry. Things have been so hectic here." I told her, honestly. "So I gathered from your message. Are you going to confess all to your new Luna then?" She teased, making me smile, but I wondered just how much I should be sharing with her. If she knew everything, would she consider me too much of a complication for their pack to allow a job and a home? I have had some issues with my fated mate. Let me say that. He rejected me, so I was told I should remain here. But now, I have been told it is for the best and for my own safety that I look to move away. So if the role is still available, I would love to come and work for you. I say quickly, not wanting to say too much, but needing to give some information at the least to explain my quick turnaround in my decision. Oh, bless you. Though I do think you did say some of that already. But if you don't feel able to tell me just yet, that is fine. I understand. But, like I told you, we were so impressed with your resume. Luna Eden tells me, making me hopefully she was going to agree to what I needed her to. I haven't even worked anywhere yet, other than the work placements I did during my degree. I understand that, but the fresh ideas you have intrigued me, and I think they would be good for our pack school. And if you need to get away from your pack, then it is even better for you. We are a few hours away. We can offer you a home and a job, a nice pack, a peaceful one at that, where your former mate is not," she said with a chuckle, obviously amusing herself. "You honestly would have me come and work for you?" I said, my relief so immense I felt almost breathless. I could get away from here. Away from Miles and the constant fear of him being close without a doubt. "Bailey? When were you thinking? Would tomorrow be okay?" I asked, without even needing to contemplate it. The sooner I left this place, the better. And the sooner I was gone, the sooner my dad and Ellis could do what they needed to do. I knew that Harley was leaving tomorrow too. Leaving for his fresh start. I should leave for mine too. 2 fresh starts apart from one another. Not what I had expected a few days ago, but something I would come to accept, I'm sure. "Wow, tomorrow." Luna Eden sounded a little taken aback at my request, making me realize that it was rather fast. Did I ask for too much? Were they expecting a few weeks' time? "I am sorry, is that too soon?" "I could just do with getting away," I began. "Oh, sweetheart, no. If you need to get away, then tomorrow is perfect. We will get you sooner. You will just have to stay in the pack house until I have arranged you a house, if that is okay? She tells me, and I am happy to agree to anything right now that means I am leaving here. I had honestly expected a room within the pack house anyway. Not a home of my own. A room in pack house is perfect. Thank you so much, I said, tears filling my eyes. Well, Bailey, welcome to Autumn Valley Pack, and we will see you tomorrow. Let me know when you are setting off. I realize, with it being such short notice, it could be late. So whenever you arrive, it will be good. We can get everything sorted. Okay? Luna Aiden sounds so genuinely pleased to have me coming to the pack that I feel enthusiastic about it too. I am scared about the change, but excited now too. Thank you so much, I say as she hangs up the phone, knowing my focus now needs to be getting my things packed. It was only as I was packing that my phone rang again, making me wonder if Luna Eden had forgotten to tell me something. It was only when I looked down that I saw Harley's number and my heart began to race. What did he want? Had we not said all we needed to earlier? That had been hard enough. I wondered why he was calling and not mine dinking. But I answered anyway. Hello? Hey, bye. His voice greets me sounding a little emotional. Are you okay? I asked, feeling suddenly uncomfortable. I just wanted to hear your voice. Mind link's still a little weak. Everything is underway for tomorrow now. Mom and Dad are packing things up at home. You will keep in touch, won't you? I know we may not be together now, but we can still be friends, right? He asks, and I can hear the emotions in his tone once again. He is finding this all as hard as me, which only makes me feel worse about it all. But as much as it isn't what I want, I know it is what we both need. Of course, that is all I would want, Harley. I can feel tears building in my eyes again at the thought of not seeing him properly. Things between him and I had barely gone beyond the occasional kiss. And he was always incredibly sweet, but him offering to take me as his chosen mate seemed to indicate a deeper level of feeling there. It had meant so much to me, given me hope, and I don't think he knew just how much that meant to me. We might not be in the same places after tomorrow, bye. But I am still there if you need me. If you need me, you only have to yell, right? Call. I will do what I can to help. I know we can't be together right now, but there is nothing to say. Maybe down the line when things have calmed down. It isn't something we can't look at, right? You can't say there isn't chemistry there. A connection, his voice falters, and I close my eyes, trying to stop the tears that are trying to fall. Harley, you have a fated mate out there. If she comes, the feeling will be overwhelming for you. You should grab that chance with both hands. Your fated mate will be the most wonderful girl in the world to you. You can't miss out on that, I told him, despite the thought of it hurting. But how? How can that be, when I already had the most wonderful girl in the world when I had you? Someone else can't be that, and I am already missing out, because I am having to let you go, he says with a sigh. I find myself sighing too. His words were too much. Harley, it will be different, I promise. If she comes, promise me you will give her a chance. She will be worth every bit of pain we have felt. Do you not want me, is that it? He whispers. I want nothing more than you, Harley, but I don't want you at risk because of me. And I don't want you making sacrifices because of me. This is for the best. I know it is. But you will always be the first to have a place within my heart. Know that, okay? And we will forever be friends, I told him, wiping away the tear that had slipped down my cheek. Always, he whispers as the call cuts out. I looked out through the eyes of my wolf, Zion, as his paws pounded along the undergrowth of the forest. Another report of a rogue gave me another opportunity to take my energy and anger out. Zion, once more deeply focused on hunting down the fucker who thought it was acceptable to overstep onto our lands. I was more than ready to allow him to take them down and punish them. like the ones before. Punish each and every rogue we could get our paws upon. Rogues are the reason I lost my Isla. And each and every rogue after her that crossed our border would be made to pay. This may be seen as irrational, but to me, it made perfect sense. Absolute sense. And that was always going to be my plan. No scent of rogues here, Zion tells me, sounding more than a little disappointed, and I have to say I am too. Try further along. Maybe they went deeper into the pack, I suggested, getting off the report we had been sent. We needed this chance to burn off energy, something to allow ourselves to take our anger out. Make them pay. False report. A mind link from Border Patrol comes through. Repeat. Reports of rogues were false reports. Sensor at the border was faulty. Nothing triggered it. I felt numb at the thought, and I could sense the same frustration through my connection with Zion. I had been looking forward to a hunt. A fight. Guess you can go hunt some prey, I told him. Defeatedly, don't suppose there are any spare wolves knocking about. I can take down, are there? He jokes with a grunt, telling me just how irritated he was. In this part of the forest, he would be lucky to find smaller prey. The larger forest, potentially the occasional deer, but they are rare now. Other larger things to hunt were off our packlands and much more risky. And something Caleb would most definitely not be impressed with me for, if I went hunting at this time of day. No, it looked like my fun was over for the day. Not that I have even had any fun. I would be headed back to the pack house, allowing Zion to run there for me to save me the walk and to give him that little longer of a run. I continued to watch the views of the pack flicker past through the eyes of my wolf, wondering what may lay ahead now for the rest of my day. I had needed something to take my dark mood out on. I cannot explain the dark mist that seemed to descend upon me the moment I realized my Isla had gone. A mist that I had tried desperately to fight, but a mist that only seemed to grip me tighter and become thicker and more powerful the harder I fought it. A mist that made me so desperate to seek out revenge on those that had taken my girl. My beautiful, beautiful girl. Isla had been sent from the heavens, perfect in every way. Perhaps they had called her back, needed her for better things. That is what I keep telling myself. That she was not able to stay long upon our earth, because the heavens needed their angel back yet. She had touched my heart and my soul. And now I was forever broken, now that she was gone. And try as I may, I could not find a way to move on. It felt like a losing battle at times. When at work, I was fine. It was the times I was alone at night when my thoughts had time to wander. The mist grew out of control, and the darkness became more powerful. Grief is a terrible thing. It can destroy a person. And I truly believe it was slowly destroying me. But I had a pack to assist with running, so I continued to function. Albeit barely. The dreams, more often nightmares of Isla and losing her, plaguing my nights. Torturing my mind. Torturing the mind of Zion, too. But this was the life I had been fated, and it was one I had to accept. Darkness had become a part of me. I had forgotten what light and happiness felt like now. Zion ducked behind the trees behind the pack house, providing me with some shelter to shift. Our clothes from earlier were left here to allow us to dress upon our return. I felt as he handed power back to me, his whole mood as low as my own. He too missed his mate, and had hoped to take out his wrath on the rogues who had caused her death. My bones fracture and dislocate, twisting back to their human form, in a swift and easy shift, while Zion went to curl up in the nether regions of my mind to sulk. We may be grown, but he still liked to act like a child when he didn't get his own way. I quickly slipped the clothes over my naked body, in case there was anybody else around, before cutting through the gardens at the back of the pack house to get back to my room. My beta suite was the only room within the pack house that somebody actually lived in. And That was only because I could no longer bear to live in the home I had shared with my mate. The many rooms downstairs were used during the day: the kitchen, the dining room, the offices, lounge, and library. But after a certain time, the pack house would empty, and I found myself alone there, often wandering the dark corridors, unable to sleep. "Hey, Ash, you looked pissed off. What's up?" Aiden's voice startled me a little as I walked up the steps onto the patio area. I had been paying little attention to my surroundings, which is never good as a werewolf, especially considering I had just been out looking for a rogue, and I had not even noticed her, which, considering her ever-increasing size, is quite a feat in itself. I turned to look at her. She was sitting, looking rather uncomfortable on one of the outdoor benches, looking out over the gardens. Her long, dark braids pulled into a ponytail today. "Why does there always have to be something wrong?" I asked her with a slow smile. "Though I could say the same for you, to be honest. You look far from impressed." She glared at me darkly. "I am sick of being pregnant now. I feel so uncomfortable. And I swear you could bounce me down the steps. I am becoming so round and squishy," she grumbles, and I do my best not to smile at her words and at the image she had now put within my mind. I leant myself against the balcony area of the patio and smiled at her affectionately. Aiden was like a sister to me since she had become Caleb's mate. She irritated me like 1-2 at times, I have to say, but I didn't like the thought of her being fed up. "Aiden, you know the baby will be worth it, and it won't be too much longer." She shrugged. "Enough talk of babies. We have the new teacher coming tomorrow. Could you make sure things are prepared for her for me?" I rolled my eyes at her question. I was glad the pack finally had the new teacher we needed, but why I was being involved when I had no involvement in her interview process? In the end, I do not know. Aiden had arranged this, so why is it I am sorting things for her? Not like she was queen. Tomorrow? Why so soon? Could she not at least give us time to arrange things and get things in order? I snapped. Aiden raised her eyebrows at me in shock. "Ash, don't be like that. You know we need her to come here. We have been looking for a teacher for ages." "She sounds perfect." She asked if she could start as soon as possible, so I said yes. I didn't want to risk losing her. Why did she need to start as soon as possible? I demanded. Something here sounded odd. I don't think anyone would ask to start the next day, especially when it involved a complete relocation too. This girl appeared to be running from something. Eden glares at me. "Look, Asher. She is coming tomorrow. Are you able to help me get things sorted for her or not? I do not know why there is a need for so many questions. Even the Pack Alpha didn't ask so many questions when I told him. And I am not in the right frame of mind for you being a prick. Caleb probably didn't ask many questions because he is too busy keeping you sweet," I said sarcastically. Once more she is scowling at me, her face full of irritation. I find myself sighing, feeling bad for making her feel worse than she already had. Yes, I will help get things sorted. I just find it a little odd that she is so desperate to start so quickly. Makes me wonder if the girl has something to hide. So, I will be watching her. Tonight has been hectic, packing bags, yet trying hard to act like nothing was amiss. Keeping my block up against any mind links from Miles had been a priority, because I knew he had wanted to say something the moment he had seen me with my dad. He had been on edge, and my dad had likely made that worse with the way he had dealt with him. But I can't blame my dad for how he had treated him. He truly needed taking down a peg or two. This was one big mess, and I knew it was only going to come even more out of control when Miles realized that my dad, Ellis, and my brother all planned to go and discuss this with my uncle, our Alpha. Alpha Marshall could not simply dismiss this like he had dismissed so many of Miles's other errors. There were too many things he had done this time. They would have to seriously consider his place within the pack, because if this got out, then many of our pack members could seriously question if he was the one they wanted to take over from my father. And even if my uncle did what he did best and made excuses for his son, there was a big difference this time. My dad and Ellis were going against him. They both disagreed with everything that had happened. They wanted Miles dealt with appropriately. I don't think Ellis was particularly bothered about what Miles had done to me, but I think it had shocked him to the core that his own brother would attempt to kill one of his own pack. That was just not the thing you expect of someone you love and care for. My mom had helped me pack a few extra things, and I swore there were even a few tears in her eyes as she looked across at me. "Are you sure about this, Bailey?" she whispered. I sighed. "Mum, you have been telling me I make things worse for myself. Well, this time I am doing what is right for me. I am getting out, standing up for myself. I know she doesn't yet know the whole truth about Miles rejecting me. My dad has asked me to keep it quiet, and told me he will explain it all when I have left. I don't truly know why. Maybe because my mum would be unable to control herself and be straight around to their house to give him what for, and spoil our plan, so we were acting like it was all down to the constant bullying I needed to get away. I only hoped my mum would forgive me for keeping secrets when she discovered the truth. But it seems so drastic, Bailey. So far away," Mum says with a shake of her head. I don't think she thought me leaving my pack was the right thing. But she was not going to make me change my mind. "And you never thought to come and speak to me about it all before making the decision?" I look helplessly toward the door, desperately needing my dad to come and save me now. He would tell her it was not her choice to make, because I am terrified I will say the wrong thing and give something away. But my dad is monitoring next door to see when Miles leaves for his usual nightly outing. The moment he is gone, we will begin to prepare to leave ourselves. "Mum, it was last minute. I am a grown woman now. I took my degree. You had to know there would be a chance I would get work out of the pack?" I said with a shrug as I zipped up my final hold-all. "But this is your family, your home, until you find your mate. Only then would it be deemed okay to move. I don't see why you feel the need to leave your home." She sounded desperate. Yet so many times over the years, she had sounded so irritated by me, even to the point it sounded like I was more an inconvenience than anything else. Little did she know my fated mate had been in this pack. So, finding my mate would not take me away from the pack I had called home. But I wanted this fresh start. I needed it. And nothing she said was going to change that. "Mum, I am not doing this. I have a job. It isn't like I can't visit. One day all your kids will move out. Get used to it," I say with a sarcastic grin, and she rolls her eyes at me. I know she hated the thought of us all growing up. And now Jordan had found his fated mate. I would assume he would be moving into his own home now, too. So, very quickly, she was losing 2 of her children from her home. I perhaps should have a little compassion, I suppose, but at times my mom made it difficult. I wandered away from my mom to find my dad and discovered him in the front bedroom looking out of the window with a pair of binoculars aimed at our neighbor's house. The Alpha home. Not suspicious at all. Dad, that doesn't look dodgy much," I joked. "They are from Warrior Supplies," he tells me, without so much as looking back. "Need to be certain it is the little shit that is leaving." "Well, if he leaves in his car, you'd know it was him, right?" I question. Dad simply shrugs. I think a small part of him may be liking this acting like a spy, albeit a far from discreet one. Definitely not the next James Bond. "Everything packed. Bye?" he asks me, like he was trying to change the subject. "Yeah. Mom is trying to convince me to stay," I explained. He chuckled. "Her little girl is leaving. Of course she will. I will explain it all once I have spoken to your uncle. Don't worry. She will see why this is for the best, sweetheart. Go and say goodbye to your sister." I nodded, despite the fact my dad couldn't see me, as his eyes are still stuck to the binoculars, desperate not to miss anything. And with a smile, I walked to my sister's bedroom, and just as I was about to knock on the door, I realized she was on the phone, as I could hear her talking. You look good. Do that again. You know that sounds fun. So, when are you actually going to make this happen? All these promises and no action yet, Morgan says with a giggle. And I realize that the conversation I had caught part of may be somewhat inappropriate, and probably not one I want to be listening to, and most certainly not one my sister would want her family to hear. Just as I turned to quickly walk away, deciding to come back a little later to talk to her, the person Morgan is speaking to replied, and it made me freeze. A voice I was definitely not expecting. Why, of all people? Morgan, so impatient. I am worth the wait. Miles almost purred at her, over what I could only assume was a video call, or else they would be mind-linking. Surely. And my stomach felt like it had dropped through the floor. Miles and Morgan? This could make things a lot more complicated. The drive so far had been long. My dad had been quiet now. The time for me to leave had arrived. I didn't know if he was beginning to second-guess his decision, but irrelevant of that, I was not changing my mind, nor was I going back on the plan we had made. Morgan was still unaware of the plan we had made. After overhearing the snippet of her conversation with Miles, I had decided saying goodbye was not the best thing to do. She could mention my departure to the one person we did not want to know about my exit from our pack, and the whole plan would be destroyed. My mind was still reeling from the fact that my younger sister was involved with someone like Miles, in whatever way it may be. I did not stick around to listen any further to hear just how serious it had been between them. But hearing what I had told me all I needed to know. Morgan had always had a soft spot for our upcoming alpha, as had so many of the young she-wolves within the pack. Seeing him as somewhat of a heartthrob, a hero, a role he relished and played up to. I, however, knew him for what he truly was. I was torn whether or not I told my father of this new development. As much as Morgan and I may have clashed over the years, as sisters so often do, she was still my sister, and Miles was dangerous. He could do her some serious harm if he got his claws into her. She was young and she was naive, probably seeing the potential of a relationship with him through rose-tinted glasses, hoping to be his Luna. Loved and worshipped by the man in the pack, that all the she-wolves wanted. The thing is, so many of them knew he was not capable of loyalty. In recent years, he was a well-known womanizer, a Lothario. He had the potential to break my sister's heart, and I could never forgive him if he did that to her, destroying her innocence and happiness all for his own gain. I looked briefly across to my dad, his face frowning as he sat alongside me as I drove. He had decided to come with me to my new pack, planning on getting my brother to collect him tomorrow. Though by the time we had arrived there, it would be the early hours anyway. He truly looked deep in thought, like his mind was full of too many things, so many worries. I felt bad for him, because I had likely caused so many of them. "You know you didn't need to come with me, Dad," I told him with a smile. "I would have been fine coming on my own. I wanted to make sure you got there okay." He tells me softly, "Ask them to take care of my little girl." I find myself smiling again, my dad once again referring to me as his little girl. I swear he would never consider us grown up, but I do appreciate that he was taking it upon himself to ensure everything was okay, and to ensure I was taken care of now. I just wish they had done a slightly better job of this over the last few years. Well, I appreciate that, thank you. Though I am going to have to get used to being out there on my own now. Besides, I think you need to speak to Morgan when you get home, I said to him quietly, totally unsure if this was the right thing to do or not, but desperately worried for the safety of my sister. I feel my dad's eyes upon me, and as I momentarily glance across to him, before returning my eyes to the road. I see confusion in his eyes. Did you not explain to her your reasons for leaving when you said goodbye? He asked me. Okay. He seemed to have believed me when I had told him I had said goodbye to her. I likely shouldn't have lied, but it seemed like the better thing to do at that moment to make sure Morgan didn't know what was happening. I could not risk her telling Miles we were leaving the pack and stopping it from happening. I didn't say goodbye to her dad. I said, my palms becoming sweaty upon the steering wheel, unsure of just how he was going to react to the things I was about to tell him. Bailey, he chastises me. I know you and her don't always get on, but she is still your sister. You should have said goodbye. I smile sadly, knowing he is right. But I know I still did the right thing, or I would have been forever trapped within that pack. Forever a prisoner to Miles. I was going to Dad, but as I went to say goodbye, I heard her on the phone to Miles. I told him, and again I saw the confused expression appear on his face. Miles? Why would she be talking to him? Especially at that time of night. They are not friends, are they? He is years older than her, he says, like he is trying to process the information I had given him. And he is right. Miles was a number of years older than Morgan, but not massively so that it would be frowned upon. Obviously they would be considered friends. Dad, because of you and Uncle. Miles and Jordan. But from what I heard, they may well be more than friends. I said slowly, knowing this would be the piece of information he took the worst, as he is ever so protective of Morgan, with her being his youngest child and daughter. They are dating? He almost roared from by my side. That I don't know, as I didn't stick around long enough to find out. But they sounded pretty close. So, I didn't want to say goodbye just in case she accidentally mentioned to him that we were leaving, and he blocked it happening. You know, if he knew we planned to leave the pack without their permission. Dad, he would have done everything within his power to stop it happening. I explained my reasoning. Why would you not tell me about this? He demanded, and I could tell he was furious. Because I feared if you knew while we were at home, you would go in there, all guns blazing, Dad. Delay us leaving. Potentially let it slip I was leaving, and again, Morgan could have mentioned it to Miles. We could not risk him discovering our plan, you know that. I told him. But from the dark scowl forming upon his face, he was not best pleased with my decision. She's not to be seeing someone like that. I forbid it, he snapped. Like it was anything to do with me. Well, Dad, that is something you will have to discuss with Morgan and Mum too, when you get home. But I can tell you now that unless you explain the situation with me and Miles to Mum first, then Mum will be all for Morgan being with Miles, 'cause she thinks the sun shines out of his ass. I say with a sideways glance to my dad, who chuckled. Don't they all? Well, the fucking glowworm will soon have his light turned off. I am afraid, because I am going to ensure our whole pack sees him for what he is, my dad says with a snarl, making me look at him with a shake of my head. A glowworm? I questioned, and he grinned. You said the sun shone out of his ass. Doesn't a glowworm have a shiny ass? He says with a smirk, and I find myself laughing at his weird attempt at humor. But nod. If you say so, Dad. Either way, he needs stopping, and you need to make sure Morgan does not get hurt in the process. Not just physically, but emotionally too. He has the potential to break her heart. She has worshipped him for as long as I can remember. Thinks he is some sort of god. Please, stop this before it goes any further. I told him, genuinely concerned for my sister now, the more I think about it. If they did go further to actually doing things together, then it would devastate Morgan that she had been foolish enough to fall for someone like him. This is such a mess. That boy seems set on destroying our family, my dad says, running his hand through his hair in frustration. Oh, he will be the moment he realizes what you plan to do to him, Dad. So, you need to be careful and ready for any shit he throws your way. He will not go down without a fight. I warned him. I am more than ready for him, Bailey, as is your brother. More than ready to fight for my family and my pack. Leaving my office for the night, planning on going to the gym, despite it being almost midnight, I heard footsteps up ahead of me, and I couldn't help but wonder who would be in the pack house at that time of night. The pack house is always abandoned about an hour after dinner has finished, with everyone returning to their homes for the night. And the place becomes my lonely hideout, a place where I am free to roam in the darkness and silence, not caring for anyone else. Though, tonight, I worked a little later than usual as there was a backlog of paperwork with Caleb having to stay with Aiden and take care of her. She was truly struggling with this pregnancy. I was thinking this baby would not be long until it decided to make its appearance and arrive in our crazy little world. At least then, I suppose, it would stop making its mother suffer well. Then, it would just be causing both its mother and father to suffer sleepless nights. The joys of children. I listened carefully for the noise of the footsteps once more, wondering who they would be at this late hour, and could feel Zion pushing forward too, feeling unsettled at someone being in the pack house when they shouldn't be. He's rippling beneath my skin, ready to push forward and shift to protect me should the need present itself. The sound of someone here had him on edge as much as it did me. I increased the speed of my own steps to turn the corner, to walk straight into Aiden, and nearly fell backwards as I almost bounced off her pregnancy bump. "Oof," she mumbled, stumbling backward herself. I quickly went to steady myself and go to help her, but she had already leant against the wall, her breathing quite rapid as she held her belly. "Shit, Asher," she snapped now, sounding far from impressed with me, though I could hear the fear within her voice, so I think the snapping was more because I had scared her. "What are you doing in here at this time of night, Aiden?" I asked her, completely puzzled. "She should be home in bed by now, surely." "You should be at home." I had to say I was more than a little concerned at the fact. To get here, she had to have walked across the pack on her own in the dark too. Why hadn't Caleb come? Or called for me? "Oh, should I?" she snapped again. "Thanks, Dad." My eyes widened at her grumpiness. Geez, if this is what Caleb has to put up with on a daily basis, then he was welcome to married bliss. Fine, go back to wandering around in the dark then. Oh, happy one. I snarled, not in the mood for dealing with her mood swings, as I turned to move away. "Where are you going?" Aiden asked me, like she was shocked I was suddenly leaving her. "Away from you." Not rude much. She is eyeing me with a scowl. I don't know if she thought her evil eyes were going to scare me, but they simply amused me. "Well, if you are talking to me like that, you can't expect me to want to talk to you, nor spend time with you. Besides, I am going to bed." I lied, still planning on going to the gym, knowing it was far too early yet for me to even try getting any sleep. "Well, you can't expect me to be in a good mood at this time of night when I want to be asleep," she grumbled. I frowned. "So why are you up then?" I find myself asking, despite me saying I didn't plan on talking to her, let alone wandering around the corridors of the pack house. "I am waiting for the new teacher to arrive," she told me with a shrug. "I already told you earlier she would be arriving." "Do you not listen?" I rolled my eyes. Yes, she may have told me, but I still would not expect her to be arriving at this time of the fucking night. Why on earth would she allow a new member of the pack to arrive in the early hours? Needing to get away or not, desperate for her to join our pack or not, it still seems illogical to allow someone to come at this time of day or night. As the case may be, this woman did not think sometimes, I swear. Though her excuse for anything she did of late that we disagreed with was that it was pregnancy brain. Personally, I think it was just bad planning or being too big-hearted. Go home, Aiden, I said to her with a sigh. No, I need to wait for the new teacher. She should be here any time, or in the next hour or two. I will stay up and wait for her. Why did you not just ask me? You know I am here anyway, and I rarely sleep well, I said to her, already hating myself for even suggesting this, but knowing I would be awake for hours yet, and it seemed silly Eden struggling to keep herself awake, and making herself feel more ill than she already does in the process. I would just have to fight all my natural instincts to avoid interacting with people I don't know or like, and welcome the teacher the best way I could. Are you sure? She says to me with a small smile, and I give her a reluctant nod, knowing that I would regret this. Ah, thank you, Asher. She gave me a big hug. And when you get home, give Caleb a big kick, preferably in the head, and tell him he is a lazy fucker. It should have been him coming here doing this, and not you. Especially at this time of night, I told her, and she laughed. He looked all sweet, all snuggled up fast asleep, sucking his thumb. I didn't want to disturb him, she said with an affectionate smile. I found myself smiling too, in spite of myself. I can't believe my best friend still sucked his thumb. I knew he had done for as long as I could remember him. You may want to keep that quiet. It kind of ruins his big, tough alpha image when you say he sucks his thumb, I told her, and she laughed. Thanks again, Ash. I will go home and try to get some sleep now. If this one will let me. Please be nice to the new girl. Her name is Bailey, remember? She tells me with a warning stare. Like she thought I couldn't be trusted to welcome someone into our pack. Nicely, not like it was that difficult to do. Was it? And, besides, if she decided to turn up in the middle of the night, then that was her lookout. She would have to take us as she found us. Can't say I was bothered if she was here or not. It was more for Aiden that she was coming.